News Talk Love 1099.3 WBT. It's the Brett Winterble Show. Happy to welcome to the program, back to the program actually. It's Rick Manning, President of Americans for Limited Government. He is joining us now with thoughts on the pandemic and what comes next after all these spending bills and trillions in stimulus. Rick, thanks so much for making time for us.
Hey, always appreciate it, Brad. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, thanks. So, what are we looking at here? We're seeing states begin to open. We're seeing things slowly get back to work, but we're also seeing the next big boondoggle, which is going to be, the next local government, state government bailout package that Chuck Schumer and company desperately want to pass out of the Senate.
Yeah, it's no secret that Chuck Schumer from New York and Nancy Pelosi from California want to bail out California and New York and have the rest of us pay for it. Mm-hmm. And that's exactly what this is. It's nothing more than a blue state money grab. And they're going to fight like crazy to try to make certain that mistakes they've made, overspending, putting illegal aliens onto health care plans, mm-hmm. and essentially spending money where the rest of the country would not choose to spend money. They now want to get to be made whole in terms of those poor choices and have the country bail them out on under the auspices of lost revenues and the like because of this virus. And the fact of the matter is, Brett, these are the same states that are taking every action to try to keep from getting revenues due to their handling of the virus and ignoring the fact that you can open up regions. Mm-hmm. Like in New York, you don't have to keep the entire state of New York closed, mm-hmm. because New York City has a problem. You can open up Western New York. You can open up, upstate. There's absolutely no reason why they have to have a one-size-fits-all solution in their state, yet that's what they do. And they want the rest of us to pay for it.
Okay, you once upon a time, you were at the Department of Labor, and you were part of the emergency preparedness team there, which is a hugely important thing. Sitting here in North Carolina, obviously, we're familiar with the various sorts of disasters that can come through: hurricanes, ice storms, tornadoes, what have you, man-made disasters, whatever you want to look at that. But each of those things have a beginning, a middle, and an end. What about this challenge to dealing with this pandemic? Because really, we've had a beginning. Maybe we've had a middle. We don't know if we're at the end yet. How do we budget for and prep for that? Because I'm seeing stories over in the New York Times where some of these blue state governors, you know who they are, your Newsoms, your Cuomos, your Whitmers, et cetera, they're looking to fundamentally transform the way their states are doing business, and not for the better.
Yeah, they are, and it's the old "never let a crisis go to waste" theory that Rahm Emanuel voiced. And we have a problem. Here's what they're going to try to do. In Congress, they're not only going to try to fund their entire budgets on the back of basically printed money by the Fed, mm-hmm. but they're going to try to pass things like surprise medical billing reform under something people think sounds good, but it's not really surprise medical billing they're dealing with. They're dealing with trying to put a price system, one-size-fits-all medical pricing system into place that allows for their socialized medical schemes to go into place easily. Because once you establish one-size-fits-all pricing, it's very easy. Then it's just a matter of who pays for it, and it's very easy for the government to take it over. So they're putting a building block in place and with stuff like surprise medical billing. So while and I could talk about alternatives, but the fact is it's just something to watch for, the push for socialized medicine. They're looking at doing things like in the states, really forcing, and nationally for that matter, using this crisis as an example, as a platform for being able to do the Green New Deal.
Right.
Once you've shut down the entire economic system for one crisis, and you've got people who actually believe that we're all going to die in 10 years from Green New Deal,
Nope.
To have everything shut down as well.
And that's a very important point, because we know, whether it's in medicines, whether it's in hospitals, what have you, because just three months ago, it was Big Pharma was getting excoriated by the left. It was hospitals getting excoriated. Now we've got these hospitals and these pharmaceutical companies in a race to try to save lives from COVID, right, which is admirable. But you've got hospitals that are not allowed to do elective surgery, which happens to be the engine for for them to be able to pay their bills and pay their staff. We actually have a situation where these hospitals are furloughing doctors and nurses because they're not doing hip replacements and knee replacements because they're, quote, elective, and they're not super urgent like COVID care.
That's exactly right. We're putting our entire medical delivery system under extraordinary stress because of the prioritization of everything related to this Chinese-oriented virus and not having beds available for doing normal things. And that's part of getting back to normal. That's part of what governors need to do in terms of getting back to normal, is allow our medical system to get back to normal. It's tragic. It is absolutely tragic that people who need things like pacemakers aren't able to get them. Yep. People who would have regular radiation therapy aren't able to get them. People who are sitting there with all sorts of ailments they need to get done that may be quality of life ailments, but they're quality of life ailments that you have to get fixed.
Right.
And yet they're being told no. But perhaps the even bigger tragedy is that when people are going into a hospital situation, because we haven't isolated the virus patients from the rest of the population and saying, okay, this hospital is handling all virus patients, right, and the other hospitals can do something else. We are making it so people who have terminal illnesses are not able to be with their loved ones when they're most frightened, most concerned, and need the most care. Because of the approach we're taking, we are effectively losing our humanity in terms of how to deal with people who are ill. Yeah. And that's a tragedy that's affecting far more people and far more families than this virus is affecting. And it's all as a reaction to the virus. It's time we kind of come to our senses and begin to offer real health care again, and isolate the virus patients from everybody else, and designate specific hospitals that are going to treat the virus patients, and everybody else gets treated at the other hospitals. That's what makes sense. It's a better allocation of hospital resources, and that's what we need to be doing.
Great stuff from Richard Manning. Well, what's the website for Americans for Limited Government? All right, it's the Brett Winterble Show. News Talk 1110 993 WBT. Let's head on over to the newsroom with Mike Doyle for an update.